So, Dr. Agrawal, let me start this really interesting session on the ONDC by trying to demystify it for all the people who've been reading about it. So, maybe the first question I should ask you is what exactly is ONDC?
Now, as the name suggests, it is a network. So, open network is not a platform. So, if somebody thinks that it is another platform that government is creating for e-commerce, that is not the case. So, if a customer is on Amazon, he can only buy stuff from sellers who are on Amazon. If you are on Flipkart, you can only sell to customers who are on Flipkart. You can't cross sell, right? Now, this siloed approach has lots of issues. Now, see what we've done in terms of banking, the UPI. Before UPI, if one bank had to exchange financial information with another bank, you had to establish two-way protocol with each of the banks individually. What has UPI done? They have given a set of common protocols for exchange of financial information. Now, anyone who is using those protocols can exchange financial information, and this changes the whole paradigm. Now, in December of 2021, there were 4.6 billion transactions based on UPI. Now, that big, the UPI platform has gone. How are we able to exchange information on internet? You see, nobody tells you to use a particular browser. You can use Chrome, you can use Edge, you can use Safari, you can use any other platform, any other browser. How are you able to exchange information between two computers is because all of them follow hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP. It is as simple as that. Now, ONDC is creating a set of protocols for the entire value chain of commerce, which means I have a product to sell. The way I catalog it is standardized. The way a customer searches for a product is standardized. The way you discover a seller is standardized. So the entire value chain, right from inventory management to cataloging, is standardized. And this opens up huge opportunities. It is not a platform. It is going to be, you think about it as internet of commerce. So anything that you have to do on commerce, that is it. And ONDC by itself does not create any information base. We are not doing anything. This is what is open network for digital commerce. So what happens is you have a number of buyers, you have a number of sellers. Everyone can transact with each other so long as you are compliant with ONDC.
So, I guess you're clearing one doubt because a lot of questions that are getting asked are is the government creating another e commerce platform? And there's a obvious question saying, look, is the government trying to compete with the existing e-commerce platforms? And the other is, so why did the government decide to do this? And I think you answered some parts of this, but in essence, that's what you're saying. Am I right?
Absolutely. So let me explain why did we get into this.
Hmm.
When the COVID struck, government was trying to reach out to citizens who were contained in containment zones and trying to connect them with the suppliers of essential commodities. Now, the problem is, imagine a multi-storied society. Now, one person in a flat is using one app. Other person is using another app. And imagine there is a Kirana store in that housing society. And we are trying to connect the two. So if you take Kirana store on platform A, which is a tedious process today, because then he has to follow the proprietary protocols of KYC, of getting the catalogs, of getting onboarded, and then there are set of policies, the commission that he charges, everything is different. So he gets only those customers who are onboarded onto that particular platform. So the seller has to go to the second platform if he wants to access the customers of the second platform. Now this gave us an idea. Can we not have standardization? This is where the idea of ONDC actually was derived. So then we realized, there are open protocols. Beacon protocol has done some outstanding work. Open mobility, they were doing some very good work in open mobility. So like, for example, in mobility, to have Ola, Ubers, and only if you have Ola, then you can only get to drivers who are using Ola. You can, if you go to Uber, you can only get to drivers who are on Uber platform. But if you have a, a, a central registry, for example, so if, let's say, if a seller gets registered on a common registry rather than a platform, and then everyone follows the same protocol, and anyone who has to buy something checks up the registry first. So for that particular product, you check the registry. You are not checking the platform. You are checking the registry, and the registry is public. It's a public good. So what happens is, one seller, instead of being visible only to one platform, gets the visibility across all platforms.
So this registry you're talking about, who sets that up? Is this a completely government-owned play, or are there other stakeholders? Just how does this work?
Yes, very good question. So first of all, we are not creating, government is not getting into business. Number one, we are not creating any platforms. We are only using these protocols to encourage like-minded people to come together and create systems which will work based on these protocols. Now, what we have done is, we've supported a project by the Quality Council of India. We set up a project management unit there. Depending upon the results that we received, we have decided to establish a non-profit company. So now Open Network for Digital Commerce today is a non-profit company headed by a CEO. And the CEO is a competent guy. He has implemented things like UIDI, GSTN. So he knows how to implement such population scale initiatives. Now the registry is owned by another private company. Gateways will be owned by those companies who will get onboarded onto this. So we are only facilitating. So ONDC is only facilitating. And even government does not have any say in ONDC, because all the stakeholders in ONDC are private players.
Right. And I assume that entity is a not-for-profit. So it's not a private player getting a special deal.
Absolutely, yes. So I hope that clears the doubt as to why government is getting into it. Government is getting into it only to democratize digital commerce. We want to ensure that the small physical retailers and the small MSMEs, they get a fair deal when they get onto any platform, right? They should not be.
So I guess what you're saying is, for example, I have a home in Uttarakhand, and we have a lot of homes there that make, let's say, special crafted products, woolen stuff, spices, and they all keep telling me they don't know how to get it to market. They all keep asking me for introductions, to Amazon or Flipkart or whatever. What you're saying is they will now have a way of really getting their products out in the market through this route.
Absolutely.
That's what I understand.
Yeah. So you can think of ONDC as, for sellers, you can think of, like, for example, you have a particular website address, like you have an IP address for a website. Similarly, for a seller, you have an entry into the registry. And whenever any request for that product which he sells is made, all those results are displayed to the consumer. And we will ensure that such results are not biased, and all those fair play uh, methods will be followed.
Hmm. So, one more question. Uh, have you kind of tested this idea with other stakeholders? I mean, are there any serious players that are talking to you about this?
So, this idea was an idea, as it happens, in most of the startups, and this is a government startup. So we had to prove this idea, and we are very happy to tell you that we did a hackathon in December, and my team is very happy to tell me that at 4:17 a.m. on the 17th of December, you know, a cascaded transaction took place, which proved the concept that beyond a platform, a buyer app can search a seller on another platform. They can ask for a logistics service provider and then complete a transaction. So the idea has been proven. Today we have almost 80 major companies working with our team, technology teams, doing their software development to get integrated onto the ONDC network. Now, how do they do it is the protocols are given. You have the protocols, like you have standard UPI protocols or any protocols. This is just simple, like uh, you know uh, what is input and what is output and things like that. So very simple
Mhm.
protocols based on their own domain expertise. So, for example, some entrepreneurs will have a large seller base. So what they will try to do is integrate that entire seller base into the ONDC compatible seller base. So every seller gets registered on ONDC registry and gets visible to everyone else. Similarly, those who are connected with buyers, like for example, Paytm is in an advanced stage of functioning. So Paytm has a huge set of buyers. So when Paytm comes and with their ONDC compliant app, and when their buyers look for it, all those sellers who are available on ONDC registry, they will all be visible to them. Microsoft, Amazon, Flipkart, all the biggies, everybody is now getting into serious conversations with us. We are actually launching beta version in April. So beta version is coming up. We have identified 5 cities: Delhi, Bangalore, Coimbatore, Shillong, and Bhopal. And why these 5 cities? First of all, we wanted to keep a geographical spread across the country. Number one. Second, wherever we are saying that we are going to do physical trade, there have to be some traders who are willing to do this. So while technologically you may be ready, you need
Mhm.
to be operationally ready on ground. So we have a trader base in these 5 cities, which is getting prepared on the intricacies of transacting on ONDC.
I assume logistics companies also form part of it.
Absolutely, yes. So now the biggest advantage of ONDC is unbundling. Like for example, when you go to one e-commerce platform today, you get all the services bundled together. So you order and then the order is fulfilled, and logistics and everything else is taken care of. Here you have a choice. If you want to buy from a particular vendor, I will give you so much without delivery and with delivery. So you have a choice. You can go pick up your stuff yourself. You can ask him what are the choices for delivery. He'll give you the choices for delivery. As a seller, he becomes a buyer for logistics service providers. And we have lots of logistics service providers who are getting integrated onto ONDC. So there is a real time transaction taking place. So I am, like for example, let's say I am a housewife. I search for bread, and then Gupta Bhandar tells me, who's 2 kilometers away, he tells me that I have bread available. The bread is costing 50 rupees without delivery and 70 rupees with delivery. There is another store which tells me I will give you the bread worth for 75 rupees without delivery. He is the one who can decide. I'll take a 50 rupee bread go pick it up myself. These are the choices that will be available, and these are what the example that I give you is in a local context. You look at it, if something has to be shipped from Shillong to Delhi, even we have logistics service providers who work pan India getting integrated onto this. So that is the kind of services
So,
and expansion that we are looking at.
so to some extent, in a sense, I mean, you're following up on what happened at Paytm and sorry, at UPI and UID and others. But so in some ways, you might say you're disintermediating things here. So, what is likely to be the impact on the existing players today? I mean, I take an Amazon or Flipkart. I mean, are they concerned?
Absolutely, this is a very very valid question. So we all thought they would be concerned. The fact is, they understand that we are going to expand the digital market tremendously. All these platforms have survived because they have certain proprietary practices which are trusted by the consumers. They've survived on the strength of their processes, and they are extremely confident that this expansion of market that will come up because of ONDC, because of onboarding of lakhs and lakhs of millions of small kirana merchants in
Mhm.
tier 3 tier 4 cities. In fact, the ultimate dream is to onboard the pan shop at the corner of your colony. He should be available on your WhatsApp number, and you should have a WhatsApp app which is compatible with ONDC, and he should be able to say कि Ramesh pan bhandar se mujhe मीठा pan chahiye, and that pan will cost me 15 rupees. In the next 15 minutes it will be delivered to your home. Now this kind of expansion of market, these companies are also looking at. They understand that when expansion of this market comes, there is everything, there's something for in it for everyone. It is not, we are not trying to disrupt anything. It is not against anyone. It is about democratizing and making more and more small traders come on to the digital commerce framework, which is today very difficult. If you look at a small kirana merchant, if he has to get onboarded, it's tough. He can't create a catalog, he can't manage his inventory, he can't manage orders, and whole lot of hand holding is needed. Now supposing, I'll just give you one example. Now supposing I have an ONDC catalog. Supposing an entrepreneur decides to create like a registry, he creates an ONDC catalog of everything that is available on ONDC. There could be millions of products, and like for example FMCG products, FMCG companies, so all their versions are available on the catalog. Now it becomes very easy for a retailer to say, pick up that catalog, I have this item, so much in the inventory, this is my price. It becomes very easy for him to manage his trade, and this is what we are looking at. Now this will not happen by itself. We need entrepreneurs to
And
do
that
this
was
work.
actually that was my my question to you. That while you say you're not disrupting, actually you are disrupting. You are uh, disintermediating right now because each player right now creates its own differentiation and tries to get everybody just onto that platform. And they create all kinds of innovations, just to make sure that they are better than the others. To some extent, you are leveling the play and giving the smaller players an equal chance. So it is disruption of a kind. So my question to you is what you started answering is what is the opportunity in this for startups and for investors?
This is actually,
Because we're on a TiEcon here. So everybody listening to you
yes.
is either a startup, wannabe startup, or a potential investor. So they want to know what's in it for us.
So, see, ONDC is based on open protocols, which is available to everyone. However, based on these open protocols, you need to create your own proprietary platforms. You have to get buyers on board. You have to get sellers on board. You have to create a catalog. You have to create the payment mechanisms. You have to create mechanisms for returns, cancellations, exchanges. All these things has to be done. And please remember, we are talking about, by one estimate, 6 crore small retailers in this country. 6 crore small retailers. Now, one of the estimates was that there are only 15,000 small retailers onboarded onto e-commerce. Now, if you look at this number, if you trust this number, which is given by the Confederation of uh, Association of Retail Traders, there are 6 crore small traders, and if you even get a fraction of them onto this, there is huge opportunity lying there for the startups. And please remember that all these 6 crore people, not many of them will speak English. They will speak in their own Indian language. They will speak Marathi, they will speak Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Bangla, Odia. Tier 3, Tier 4, you don't have English. This entire user interfaces, all this will have to be built in local languages. If you really want a housewife in Tier 3 city to order something from the local Kirana store, or you order pan from the local panwala, you need to have it from our own language. So there is huge opportunity for startups and entrepreneurs who want to create their new e-commerce platforms. And let me tell you, creating ONDC compatible e-commerce platforms is going to be much more simpler than creating a traditional kind of an e-commerce platform, because then you are competing directly with the best. That is the kind of opportunity that is lying for startups. About investors, so let me tell you, we've had engaging sessions with best of the investors in this country. IBCA, we've had we've had sessions with US Silicon Valley investors, and they are like, wow, this is something which is coming out from India. It's going to, I mean, I would say now, it's it's going to be Internet of Commerce, and this is not going to be limited to India. It will ultimately travel to different markets in the world. If you are an Indian entrepreneur, why not take this concept worldwide, provide services to worldwide, like in the Y2K thing. That is what Indian entrepreneurs did. This entire IT revolution, you created tremendous opportunities for yourself. The same opportunities are lying now. This is what I look at it this way. Huge opportunities. Master yourself in India, create products, and these products are global. Go for the globe.
So I have a question. Right now, I mean, the government is trying to make it happen. It's somewhat in charge. It's make sure it's accelerating the pace. Uh, how will you ensure that actually this continues to move with the same agility? That it continues to be innovative. you know, uh, Going forward, that it doesn't kind of go for a bit and then peter out. Any thoughts about that?
Absolutely. So this has been one of the primary design considerations, when we try to institutionalize things. So we were very, very clear that government will have to have an arm's length distance. So if you look at Open Network for Digital Commerce as a company, it's a non-profit company. You look at the structure of that company, right? There is no government shareholding in that company. We are out of it. We do not even have any directors on that company, right? So ultimately, government will have some nominees, 2 or 3 nominees, but it is only in case of a broad kind of a policy directive or something. We are not getting into the day-to-day operations and regulating that entity. When we were estimating, we got that estimate that this non-profit company will become self-sustainable in a period of 3 years, and they will need a capital of about, they said, about 160 crores. That was what initially, the estimates were given.
Mhm.
Now today we have 20 major banks, public financial institutions committing 240 crores already into this company. And we are saying we don't need your money now. 160 crores is already into our bank accounts as of 31st of March. The first public private placement has already been done. So the company is on its own. It is going to be something like NPCI, even better than NPCI, because the advisory board that we had, the first question they asked, have we learned from the mistakes that we made when we implemented UIDI, when we implemented UPI, when we implemented uh, other such public scale, population
Mhm.
scale initiatives. So the idea of establishment of ONDC was very clear. We want the company to have a startup mindset, but implementation has to be at the government scale. So government support is only there so long as they get a critical mass, because with government support you can actually scale up very fast. The
Yeah.
company, we have established that company, we are getting best of the technical talents for it, and we are paying them one of the best. We want to pay them the best. It is not that, if you have a non-profit company, you come here do for charity. No, we want. I'm also telling this conference, the best of the talent is invited to work for ONDC. You will get best of the salaries without
So this
intervention
is,
from the government.
yeah. No, so this is very good. Let me ask you, as we end this session, close to it, is so what you're saying is this is, I mean, a lot of people have been thinking this is one more hype of the government. uh, you're telling me that it's moved beyond hype and it is a reality. So, uh, one quick question to your mind. Uh, you said beta would happen in April. Is there any estimate you have by when could this actually be an operating platform?
Right. So again, I would correct you. It is not a platform.
Sorry,
This is
I didn't mean
this
a
is a
platform,
network.
but
The network, we are testing the network in beta mode in April.
yeah.
By end of April, we are done with uh, beta, and we are trying to launch it by August in a major way across the country.
Both.
So I am very clear. We are beyond hype. It is beyond hype. Now let me tell you, there are phone pay, Paytm, Dunzo, Seller app, Microsoft, Tally, Go Frugal, Farai. I am just taking the names of these companies. Growth Falcon, eSabuday, Goodbox, Federation of IT Traders Associations. These are all in advanced stages of integration with ONDC. Right? So we have moved much beyond hype. It is on its own now.
That's very, very encouraging. Let me ask you one last question. So, this is actually very disruptive and very interesting because if you look around the world, very few governments have tried to create these kind of catalysts. UPI was one, UID was another one, ONDC is one, and there are other things that are being done. Uh, so you can't patent this, right? So for it to go to other countries, is there a way that we can get royalty?
See, we are not patenting it. We have created it as public good. Primarily, see, the best thing about the Indian IT and all the government initiatives, UPI, Aadhaar, it's about creating public digital infrastructure. And that is exactly what we are doing. Learning from our own initiatives in the past, learning from the mistakes that we made in implementing those initiatives, we are creating public good, public digital infrastructure. And it is an open source thing. The protocols are open source, totally based on open standards, open protocols. And in fact, in our hackathons, we invited people not only for solving certain problems that we gave them, but also to improve the protocols. So it's a community thing. It's
Yeah.
a community thing.
So
There
maybe
is
since
nothing patented about it.
So since the government is doing it, maybe as I end, let me tell all the entrepreneurs here that, hey guys, look at this. Maybe your opportunity is to go to other countries and offer to set up such a system for them. That might be an opportunity that you can get well funded for. Well, this has been really, really very illuminating. So I really want to thank you, Dr. Agrawal, first
Thank you.
for a really exciting initiative, and then coming to TiEcon and sort of talking and explaining it to all our participants. Thank you very much.
Thank
Pleasure
you.
to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's always a privilege to be part of the TiEcon event. Thank you.